Welcome to the Wing Academy videocast, an extension of Wing Academy of Unfoldment. I'm your host, Diane Wing, and my show focuses on how to use spiritual concepts in the real world. We'll address issues related to the mind, body, and spirit, discover how to release what holds us back, and ways to come into our power. Learn more at dianewing.com. Please like and subscribe. Click the bell to be notified of new episodes. Today, my special guest is Carmen Turner Schott, licensed clinical social worker working with survivors of trauma, astrologer, and the founder of Deep Soul Divers Astrology. And here we are going to be talking about her book, her newest book today, Your Astrological Energy. And you can visit her at carmenturnershot.com. That's Carmen, Carmen, Turner, Turner, Shot, SCHOTT.com. It'll also be in the description of the show. Welcome, Carmen. It's great to have you back. You have been on my show before,
Yes.
but it was on Wing Academy Radio. And you guys, if you've never seen my or listened to my Wing Academy Radio on my website, here is Carmen and I talking about 12th house astrology, and it's a very enlightening conversation. So I'm really excited to have you back.
Thank you. I'm so glad to see you. It's been a while, and we talked about 12th house angels last time. And this time we're talking about your astrological energy, which that's what I love astrology, because it is energy. And that's why
Yes.
it works. That's why it resonates with so many people, because it's the energy that is our personality. So I really wanted to write a book so everyone can look at all 12 signs and harness those energies in their own birth chart, because we all have 12 zodiac signs somewhere in our birth chart, somewhere on the wheel, somewhere on the houses. So
Right. Everybody concentrates on the sun sign. And to
yeah,
me, that's like the least of it.
yeah, that's not
Like,
even, yeah,
you don't even know if you're reading a horoscope in the paper.
yeah,
You can't be like, oh, I'm a sun, whatever my sun sign
yeah.
is. What house is it in?
I know.
What are the aspects to the sun? Like what?
There's
There, there's
there's
so
too
much
much.
more.
I know, right? It's a lot. And I think some people are a little afraid of studying it or digging in, and because it's a complex science, it's a tool of self-awareness, and it does take a while to learn. This It's symbols. It's a language of itself. You have to know the symbols to read the chart. And but anyone can learn, and so when I write my books, I've tried to write them in a very practical, basic way where anyone could pick up my books and understand them. And then in this book, it's a little more advanced, but it's still a very basic intro that'll show you how to get a birth chart, the symbols, the signs, the energies, all of it. So even in this book, you can be a beginner and learn the basics and really start digging in and looking up every single placement you have, and the energies, and learn more about yourself and others. So this is the biggest book I've ever wrote, the thickest book, the longest book that I've ever written, because I include the transits, which are the energies affecting us right now in the sky based on your birth chart. Then you can look up your birth chart, planets in the sign, planets in the house, planets in transit, and then the basic traits of each sign. So everyone has a dedicated chapter, all 12 signs. So I really wanted to connect it with energy, how to harness the energy. That's kind of the first title I thought, is harness your astrological energy is kind of what I was leaning towards, because you really can harness the energies you lack, especially, with the elements, the fire, air, earth, and water.
Yes.
I'm really getting into that now when I'm doing consults or counseling with people, to look at their elements, because I always felt so emotional when I was growing up and sensitive. I would feel people's pain and I would cry easily. And I felt like I was emotional, right? And then now that I'm older, I'm not as sensitive as I used to be. I think I got a little thicker skin. But when I looked at my elements, I'm water. I lack water. I actually don't have a lot of water in my chart. I have a lot of earth and fire, and my water's low. And so I've been trying to spend time near water more, swim, or, I know that's very good for me to help me balance in all
Yes, it's
of.
all about the balance.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely. And for people who get confused with astrology, I just want to tell you that this book is so well organized that you will not be confused. It's very easy to look up your points in your chart,
Yeah.
and it's a very worthwhile read. And Carmen is so tuned in. I was telling her about a book I wrote called Forest of the Dead, and she knows my chart to a degree, but she's like, "Oh my god, that's so eighth house." Like she
Yes.
knows.
Yes.
And she
Love
can
it.
feel it, and how people are actually behaving in such a way that they're exemplifying their chart.
Yes. I mean, it's amazing, I like it when I teach classes too. I like to pick, movies and shows and music to resonate and help people connect with the energy of the 8th house and Scorpio, or the 12th house and Pisces, to really feel the energy of astrology by using, images and video and shows, like I was using, the show Peaky Blinders. I don't know if you ever seen that show.
Yeah.
The main character is to me, very 8th house Scorpio. And so I would show some videos and people were getting emotional, because you can really feel the energy of these houses in the world, on TV, movies, and I love using that to teach. It makes it easy to feel the energy instead of me just saying, "Oh, this is deep, this is intense energy." It's good to see it on screen or feel it,
Yes.
with music, or things like that. So I've been incorporating that into my classes too. A lot of videos and music and things like that. So people are
That's
like,
very cool.
"Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I like the way you combine astrology with helping clients gain insight into themselves and their situations. Like, I do that as well, and I use tools like tarot and astrology in addition
yeah,
to regular counseling sessions.
yes,
But what's the biggest advantage
yeah."
of using astrology with your clients, would you say?
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh, yeah. I would say when I first realized, wow, this is intense and this is so accurate, it would be wrong of me not to incorporate it. And it's when I was in graduate school. I was getting my master's in social work and I was doing charts for free. I mean, I was just doing it for fun because I had started doing it when I was 16, and and I kind of did it in college
It,
and kind of became a little mini business. But and people were like, "Can we donate?" I didn't used to charge, and they're like, "We want to donate, like, this is so deep." And people would cry. In 1 hour, we would hit on so many deep things with childhood, with emotions, with relationships, with how they feel, their career. And they're like, this is like so accurate. And how do you know? I'm like, it's the map of your soul. I'm just interpreting it. This is energy. It's nothing I'm just coming up with, right? And that's why I liked it, because it was practical and it wasn't just me sharing my intuition, which I do that as well. I'm intuitive as I share, and sometimes I do see or feel things about their chart or their life. But I use astrology as that tool. And I remember thinking, this is deeper than 10 sessions of deep counseling, psychotherapy, Jungian analysis, or whatever. 1 hour is so deep. And I thought, I got to bring
yes.
this. And even when I was in a normal social work job, I always had people's birth date and year. So I would know their sign. I mean, I wouldn't know their time and place, and I wouldn't ask,
Right.
because I was in a normal
Right.
role. But I would know, oh, they're a Cancer, their moon is in Aries, and I would see these things play out when I would do counseling with people, their personality come out. And it was always validating, and it helped me understand myself and other people. And that's why it has been my passion since I was 16. I mean, I'm going to be 50. I'm at my Chiron return, which makes sense because I just changed my entire life. It's going through my eighth house of death and rebirth. So
Wait,
Chiron,
wait. Tell folks a little bit
yeah,
about what Chiron is if they don't know what that is.
sure.
Explain to them.
Sure. So Chiron in astrology, it's like from mythology, but it's an asteroid. And in astrology, a lot of astrologers really consider Chiron a big thing because it's the planet or it's the asteroid that helps us heal. It's the wounded healer in our chart. So wherever Chiron is, we may have a trauma, we may have a wound, and we're meant to heal it. And when we heal it, we often end up going out and helping other people heal the same wound. And that's there's a story of Chiron. You can look it up online in mythology, but in astrology, it's where you have a wound that you need to heal. And so I'm definitely when Chiron transits a certain house in your birth chart, which is what I was saying, it's transiting my eighth house. It's coming in a return, which means it's going back to where it was when I was born. And it'll be conjunct my birth chart's Chiron. And they call that the midlife crisis. It's that age 49 to 50. Everyone on earth has a Chiron return at the midlife crisis. And that's when oftentimes people change their life. You know, they go through, they change their career, they retire, they divorce, they move across the world. You know, all these things. It forces you to kind of heal and get into where you're meant to be and helping others and what your mission is. And so,
Right. And depending on the sign it's in and the house it's in,
yes,
that's how you know where the healing is going to take
yeah,
place or the shift is going to
yeah,
happen. And
yeah,
that wounded healer is so important because let's face it, we've all got wounds.
yes, yes, yes.
And sometimes we bury them so deep
Yeah,
that we don't realize that it's affecting different aspects of our lives
yeah,
until
yeah,
something like astrology pulls it out. And
yeah,
I have to say, like, as far as a tool, astrology is much more analytical,
yeah,
even though it's also an intuitive tool that you can look at and get triggered by the points in the chart. If you know, like, once it becomes second nature and you know the not only the points but the symbols, like, so that you don't have to keep looking it up,
yeah,
then you can become more intuitive with it. Tarot is more intuitive, even though it's a book of metaphysics,
yeah,
and it's a different kind of energy than
yeah,
astrology is.
yes,
But they
yes,
do have their overlaps, just like
yeah,
numerology does. Like, all of these things are systems of metaphysics.
yeah. They're similar. Like that's why I love tarot. I love the imagery, you know, with tarot, any kind of cards. I'm very visual, so the images give you a certain feeling when you see the images, and that gives you answers, you know, like, oh wow, like, and sometimes, you know, we have biases, you know, when we see a certain card, like the death card, it doesn't mean someone's really going to die.
Right.
There's some kind of a change or transformation, rebirth going on in that area of your life, or in the past, present, future, you know, wherever. But what I love about astrology is that the major arcana are all representative of the signs and planets. So astrology is in the tarot, the Rider Waite, you know, the traditional tarot. So I love learning about that. And I do a little mini class on that too. Is like, you know, and people are like, oh, I didn't know that card was Cancer, or that card, you know, especially I think the Chariot card is Cancer. And people are like, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah. So some of the cards are like, oh yeah, I can see why, you know, like why that planet or that sign rolls that card. But
Right.
it's all connected. Yeah, I love it.
And there are some decks that call it out.
Yeah,
So, like, not all decks call it out, but if
yeah,
you're interested in that kind of an overlap,
yeah,
get a deck that has the symbols of the planet
yeah,
and,
yeah,
the sign on the
yeah,
card itself.
yeah.
Um, so I applied your book to my own chart. And I found it accurately represented me, especially the four planets I have in Scorpio in the eighth house.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
And you work a lot with those who have eighth and 12th house energies. Can
Yes.
you tell us more about that? Because You even have your Facebook groups, you have, right? You have,
Yeah.
so if you guys are interested in
Yes.
exploring that at a deeper level, Carmen's your girl. So tell us more about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I started becoming obsessed with the 8th and 12th houses when I first started studying astrology when I in 19 was it 1992, 1993 because there were no books out there at the time about the 8th and 12th houses that made sense. There was maybe like one book and it was a little scary, There was a lot of negative things out there and this is before the internet, and Google and everything, but even when we got internet, you couldn't find a lot. So I started researching based on my own experiences of having eighth house moon and Jupiter, and having the sun in the 12th house. And I wrote, I started writing articles, putting them out online, when the internet came up back in like 2004. And I had all these people start emailing me from all over the world that article, they had eighth house planets that they felt like me. That was like I wrote the article that like out of their head, like they wrote it. And I'm like, there's something about this. So I started researching and I self-published my first book in 2010 called The Mysteries of the Eighth House, Phoenix Rising. And that was based just on my own experience and clients that have shared their stories with me. And it just became my passion, researching those two houses. And people often find me as, clients that have planets there. And it's like, well, you're meant to be here or with me because this is my, passion. And so I started realizing these patterns and it's a science. And I actually did a research, quantitative study on the 12th house recently, where I did 100 random charts. I had people that I didn't know send me to participate. I had 100 charts, and they had to have 12th house, sun, moon, certain planets. I had them answer 5 questions. So some of those patterns are, you feel like you're an alien, or you feel like you're adopted, you feel like you're not from Earth when you have planets in the 12th house, and they all said yes, like all of them. I mean, and then you feel like you dream things that happen. You have mystical experiences. You have this intuition. They all said yes. A lot of 12th house people dream things, very vivid dreams, or they dream of the future, or they wake up and someone's standing at the foot of their bed, right? And they don't know how to explain that in real
Yeah.
life. And they're often in families that are very skeptical or different. So they always feel like they're alone and they're different from everyone around them. And
They're
so
outside. Yeah.
yeah, they're outsiders. And so I started doing this research and just, writing books about the 8th and 12th house. I call 12th house people fallen angels. And when and it's not a bad thing because people immediately associate it with religion, like fallen angel means it's like a bad angel. No.
Lucifer.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they I've had so many people write me about that. And I'm like, no, fallen angel means that they were angels that chose to come to earth and live in this world to help others. It's a house of service, helping people. It's also a house of connecting with God and a higher power, the universe, cosmic consciousness. Having a spiritual path is very important for 12th house people. And then 8th house people, we are the phoenixes. So we people with plants in the 8th house in Scorpio, because Scorpio Pluto rules the 8th house. It's all about going through very cataclysmic changes mentally, emotionally, physically throughout your life. It's about transforming and becoming more resilient. So the 8th house to me is the most resilient house in the whole birth chart. And if you have planets there, that's going to show what maybe some healing you have to do, some trauma, but also where you can help others heal and where you become a healer yourself and powerful. It's the house, it's very powerful energy to have Scorpio 8th house because it's all about learning to tap into your power, to regenerate, to heal, to be resilient and overcome hard obstacles. So a lot of 8th house people have experiences that most people will never have. So when I talk to them, a lot of them have lost parents at a young age, sister, siblings, they've been in traumatic situations. They've had people betray them or hurt them, and they had to learn to forgive because the 8th house is about letting go and it's about forgiveness. And that's kind of Scorpio's energy because Scorpio is meant to heal. And a lot of Scorpios go into the healing fields and helping people energy work, psychic, abilities, counselors, medical field, because they're meant to be deep. They're also business people. So people that have 8th house planets, it's a similar energy to the 12th They both have these abilities. I call it, they both have spiritual gifts when you have planets in the 12th and 8th. But the 8th house also is the house of other people's resources. It's a house of business. So a lot of Scorpio people are natural business people. They're business minded. They're pragmatic. They know how to make money. They work hard. They're organized. They're strategic. So there's two sides to the 8th. It's not always that you're in a helping profession. Sometimes you could be a detective, a CIA agent, solving crimes. That's big with the 8th house, finding secrets, digging deep, research, all those things that are really focused on, and a little obsessive and detail focused, and finding answers, digging deep. So 8th house people feel everything going on, and they're very perceptive. It's at Scorpio. They see through the fakeness of the world. So they will see and know people's pain. Same with 12th house people, but 12th house people can lack boundaries. So they got to learn to protect their energy and to have a strong boundary, because it's Pisces rules the 12th and Neptune. So they're wide open. They're very empathic and intuitive, but they lack protection. 8th house people like to self protect a lot. So they're known to repress and to control their emotions, and they don't trust easily because they've been hurt. They know enough to protect themselves. So they both have a different lesson. And they both call secrets out from people. People want to share their problems with Scorpio, Pisces, and 8th and 12th house people. I used to think, what is it about me? Like, I would be at the grocery store. I'm like this, minding my own business,
In the line at the supermarket.
Yes. And I'm not kidding. And I'm in there for 2 hours talking to somebody comes up to me, starts telling me my son died. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. They start telling me their whole story. And I'm like sitting there, I'm just listening. And one time I went to get something at the grocery store real quick. This was just like a year ago. I was in there for 2 hours, and she cried and hugged me, and I almost said, what's your number? I mean, like, so that's very common. I used to feel like there was a sign on my back, and I thought I was alone until I started doing astrology and researching this. And everybody with 12th and 8th house planets has these stories. It's these
Yeah.
similar stories. And so I created Facebook groups. Just I have a group, the 12th astrological house, for people that want to learn more about it or have planets there. And it's a supportive community, like a support group. It's private. Once you join, your posts are private. And then the 8th house, I have an 8th house deep soul divers group. And that's for 8th house people. People want to learn more. And I've had those groups since Facebook started. I got about 18,000 in one and 15,000 people in the other from all over the world.
So how can people find it easily on Facebook?
Yes. Well, if you go to my website, carmenturnershot.com, and go to community, to the community tab, I have the links, and both of the groups are in there on my website. You just click, it'll take you straight to the Facebook page to log in and get in there and request to join. You have to answer a few questions. I don't let everybody in. Like, if you don't have a profile pic and you don't answer questions, I have to be careful. I've had a lot of drama in my groups. Facebook, social media. It's funny because 12th house group is peaceful. Everybody's posting, everybody's supporting. Once in a while, we have something happen and I have to, remove someone, but it's rare. 8th house group is either drama going on or it's quiet. Like, no one says anything or posting at all. And then I'll post, hello, you guys there? And they're all coming out of hiding. It's the energy of the 8th. They're behind the scenes. And then they're like, we're here. We're just not posting first, right? So you can see the energy play out in the groups. That's so fun.
Yeah, that energy is very private. There's a big
Yes,
desire for privacy
yes,
while we're studying like the mysteries of life
yes.
and all
Deep,
of that. Like, yeah,
deep.
it's
It's deep.
absolutely true.
It's death, it's sex, it's all those taboo things is 8th house that most people aren't comfortable talking about, but we are. And we draw people that want to tell us about their pain, their problems. And it's because our energy, I always say it's an energy thing. 8th house people and 12th house people, your energy lights up and people are drawn to it. It's like a light, like a moth to the flame. And also people can be afraid of it. So I tell people, a lot of people tell me when they have planets in 8th and 12th, or Scorpio rising, Scorpio stellium, I hear this from them too. even if they don't have 8th and 12th placements, they have a lot of Scorpio, a lot of Pisces, that they feel like people are like push them away, or people feel like they don't like them. They feel like people don't like them. Like, it's not that. People are intimidated by people that have 8th house Scorpio, because a lot of Scorpio energy, that could be Scorpio rising and Pluto on the ascendant. There's a lot of things that have that energy, because they feel like you're going to know all their deep dark secrets, so they're hiding. They may with stay away because they know there's something about you they want to share. And I got to where in my life so many people would share things with me that I didn't really want to know, because I would want, when they would tell me, I learned after they would tell me everything, they would feel uncomfortable around me. Then they would
Yeah.
kind of avoid me at work or whatever, because they came in and they dumped and told me all this personal stuff. Like I told them, I will not repeat what you said. It stays here. But it's
The
their own.
privacy works both ways.
Yes, yes, yes. And I told her, I remember one time at work, this was years ago, I said, before you tell me, I said, are you sure you want me to know? I said, I don't want you acting weird with me after you tell me. I would just flat out tell them, don't
Yeah.
tell me if it's going to hurt our friendship. Don't
Yeah.
tell me you're going to start acting weird around me and not going to want to hang with me no more, because that'll hurt my feelings. So I got to where, and they're like, oh, no, no, I want to tell you. And then I had one time say, oh, you know what? I better not tell you. I said, okay. Because, I just learned how this energy played out in my own life with
Yes.
people. And then I learned from that. It made me a stronger person, made me more assertive. Um, and I'm very different than I am. And that's what eighth house people tell me, and Scorpios, that their whole lives they're transforming, and they're changing, and who they used to be is different. And it's hard to explain it in words sometimes. You just know, you feel like you went through a death and rebirth many, many times. I feel like that now. I'm going through a mini death and rebirth. I'm in the cocoon like the eighth house person, getting ready to come out of that cocoon as a butterfly, I hope soon. But right now I'm in the death thing, where it looks bad and it's a little hard. And then,
Yeah.
once you come out, you feel better. But right now I'm going through a death and rebirth, and it's really the transits that are going on in my eighth house, and my eighth house planets are kind of being triggered by astrology, by the
Right.
energies. And
Well,
it
I find that anytime there's an ending,
Yeah,
in my life at least, the endings have been more significant
yeah,
for me, and it's the period of the most growth
yes, yes.
than any other time. And I listed all the endings, including like mundane things like graduations from,
Oh yeah,
d- and it's really endings of relationships, things like that. And it's just astounding if you go through, if you're an eighth house person,
yes, yes,
look at your endings and see how your life transformed, because it's all about the transformation.
yeah, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
It is.
So
It's
we have a couple minutes left.
sure.
I'm gonna post your website
Okay.
address in the description, but where else can they connect with you? Like, where's the best
Yeah.
place to touch base with you?
Yeah, the best place is probably, if you visit my website, carmenturnershot.com, you can download a free gift, a free PDF about the 12th house and the 8th house, and join my newsletter. And you can follow me on Facebook. Deep Soul Divers Astrology is my main page. Deep Soul Divers Astrology with Carmen Turner Shot. And follow and like me. Trying to grow my page. And Instagram, Carmen Turner Shot Author, and like and follow me there. I post a lot about the books and different updates and classes and things like that. So love for you to join my newsletter, and I don't send out that many newsletters, maybe one a month. So I won't be inundating your email. But if you want to sign up, you'll get like the basic updates of classes and things like that, book announcements.
Great. And, really, if you're interested in this topic, check out the book. It's on Amazon and you can pre-order it
Yes,
because
yes,
it's not, out there yet.
yeah.
But pre-order it. Trust me, it's really enlightening, and I think you'll really enjoy it. Carmen, I'm so happy that you were able to come here today and
Cool.
tell everybody about your work. And I mean, I'm a fan.
Thank Thank
So
you. I appreciate you. Thanks for having me back. And I love, that we're both eighth house girls. So Eighth house phoenixes. So I love it. So thanks for having me.
Hope to see you soon.
You too.